So I've had some requests to spill the tea on Esther. So let me tell you about Esther. My girl Esther lived in the time after the Babylonians had been taken over by Persia, which is now modern day Iran. So what had happened was the king of Persia decided to throw a party. And he decides to throw this party, huge banquet ball, throws a ball and like they're partying and he tells his servants, like, if people want wine, give them whatever wine they want. I don't care what it costs, whatever it is. Just give the people, we're out here to have debauchery, we're gonna have fun. Like, we're just going to feed our flesh. So they're doing that. And then while the men are doing their thing on the one side, the women are doing their thing on the other side. And then the king of Persia decides, I want to show off. I've got a beautiful wife. And I want all these men around me, all these people around me to see how beautiful my wife is. So you know what he did? He's like, tell Vashti, that was his wife's name. Please tell Vashti to come here. I want her to prance around and dance for my men. I want them to see her. Now here's the thing, right? When he says this, he's not like he's asking her to come out dressed in, chances were like based on the times and what the people at the time did. He wanted her to come out naked so that everybody could see how beautiful his wife was. And Vashti was like, nah, I'm not doing that. She was like, nope, not gonna do it. I am not coming out so that you can, like, can you imagine though, like your husband's like, yo baby, I want you to come outside. I want all the men to see how beautiful you are. Strip naked. Let the men see you. And then Vashti's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then he was just like, she said no to me? I'm the king. And then all the men were like, you can't let her do that. You can't let a woman tell you no. You have to make her say yes. She has to say yes. You gotta make her say yes because now they're scared. And then if the queen can say no to the king, then their wives are gonna say no to them. So then he's just like, he goes to his advisors and is like, what can I do to make Vashti say yes? They're like, there's no law that she has to listen to you. So then he's like, I bet. Let's kill Vashti. Behead, dead. Vashti's gone. And then he's like, and then we're going to make a law that says that no woman is allowed to say no to her husband. You have to respect your husband and you have to do what he says. And he's like, that's the law. Done deal. Signed, sealed, delivered, done. Because these men, like, they don't know how to coax their wives to do what they want. They have to go and make a law. A whole law. Imagine a law that said you must listen to your husband. Anyway, so now they decide to do this. And that's what they're doing. And in the land of Persia.
1 minute. Why did your phone stop? I didn't press anything. I was still sitting like this. Go back.
So we had some technical difficulties, but let's continue. So these men out here made a law that your wife must listen to you. So now Vashti's dead. So now the king needs a new wife. So he decides they're going to get all the beautiful women in the land who are of marriageable age to enter this beauty contest. But before they come to the king, they have to go for a year. Imagine, guys, a year of beauty treatments before they will then be paraded in front of the king. I'm making this sound like tea, but it's actually quite disgusting what this man did. So what he did was, he had all these girls spend a year, and then he would take them and they would be brought to him for him to inspect and use. You can figure out, and the context clues, what he does to them. And then he decides, I don't want you anymore. You can stay, you can be one of many. Just like that. So he takes all the women of marriageable age and he's just going through them. And once he's used them, and if he decides he doesn't want them anymore, then nobody's going to want you because, I mean, you were rejected by the king. So completely ruining these women's lives. But, anyway. So one of the women, Mordecai, is one of the king's advisors. And he was looking after Esther. And Esther was his niece, who he was cousin niece, who he was looking after because her parents had died. And so he decides to enter Esther into this pageant. We'll call it a pageant. Because, like, what else are we supposed? That's what they call it in the Bible. So they enter Esther into this pageant, and then Esther enters and he meets Esther, and like Esther is beautiful, okay? Beautiful. She stops heads, she turns heads, and he makes Esther one of his wives, and Esther is now queen, and he sees her and like falls for her and is like, yep, she can be a queen. But remember, now Esther's not allowed to say no to him. So while this is going on, Mordecai tells Esther, I'm going to send you into the king's house. You're going to do this, but do not tell him that you're a Jew. Do not tell him that you're Jewish, that you believe in God. Don't say nothing. So she keeps quiet. So her husband doesn't know she's married to the king. He doesn't know that she's Jewish. Then Mordecai is one of his people. And then what happens? After this happens, one of the people who was with Vashti, one of the eunuchs, the men there, decide that they're going to create a plot to kill the king because they're upset about what happened to Vashti. They're upset about what happened to Vashti, and they decide they're going to create a plot to murder the king. So they're like, shut, king's going to die. It's time for the king to go. So then what had happened was, then Mordecai overhears this plot, and he tells Esther. And then Esther tells the king. And the king, then they go and they investigate. And then she tells the king that that she was told this plot by Mordecai. So then he thanks Mordecai. He's like, yo, thanks Mordecai. They find these guys and they murder him. But nothing big happens for Mordecai. Remember that, because this detail comes in handy later on. So then Mordecai carries on with life. And then there was other guy, Haman. Haman now hated Jewish people. Like, Haman hated Jewish people, but he also hated Mordecai. Like, hated Mordecai. And so Haman now creates a plot where he's like, Mordecai's gotta go. Mordecai irks my soul. I don't like Mordecai, and I need Mordecai dead. So he decides, he goes to the king and he's like, yo, like, why do we have Jewish people here? Like, I feel like we should kill the Jewish people. Like, just wipe them out. He's like, I think you should write a decree that all the Jewish people should just be wiped out, killed, murdered, dead. Like, can you say that online? But anyway, it's like, let's just wipe out all the Jewish people. And then Mordecai, and this is like, let's wipe them out. And then, you know what, the king's like, you know what, yeah, let them go. Like, we don't need them. So he's like, you know what, let's them out. And so he creates this decree, and that's what they decide they're going to do. They decide they're going to the Jewish people. And then Mordecai goes to Esther, and he's like, yo, you got to do something. And then she's like, me? I'm just the queen. Remember, this is the man who created a decree that a woman can't say no to him. And if she says no, then it's lights out. And now you want me to go and say what? And then Mordecai says to Esther, darling, what if you were created for such a time as this? And then Esther says, okay, but if I die, I die. And that's the end of part 1.